5, 6, 7, 8. Hi.
Oh.
Hi, Dragons. What's up? It's Nikita, and welcome.
Wait. That is not how we're gonna start this. That's not how we're starting it.
I want to look
No,
cute.
we got it. No. That's not.
Okay, fine. Hold on. Rewind. Hi, Dragons. What's up? It's Nikita. Welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, it is a celebrity makeup artist doing my makeup. That is not available here today. So instead, I have Ariel from the MAC counter at Sephora at your local JCPenney's filling in for the said celebrity makeup artist.
Of course.
No, for real, you guys, I have the #1 celebrity makeup artist in the world. 22-inch waist, 42-inch hip, 43-inch hip.
Thank you for having me, Nikita.
Of course.
Straight out of the JCPenney counter.
We are showing for one of the first times online. I've seen so many TikToks that have been trying to emulate your skills, primarily your brush techniques. And I think it's finally time, and I feel so honored.
To give it to them.
I'm nervous.
Are you nervous?
Only because I look like this.
But you look beautiful like this.
Thank you. I'm scared. We're giving you guys the full transformation from 0 to 100 using Ariel's brand new Morphe brush collection, as well as my Nikita palette with Morphe. And we're just gonna get into it. Should we start?
I'm nervous. Should we
start?
Let's start.
Okay. Okay, go. Okay, Ariel, how did we first meet? Do you remember?
Yes, we met at Patrick Starr's studio in downtown.
Oh no. I thought that was the first time, no?
Well, the first time we met was on FaceTime.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was I on like the mattress in Patrick's fucking
Hotel room.
Oh,
in
yeah,
New York.
Yeah.
You were such a personality back then, and you still are one now. I remember she's like, "Hi, my name is Kylie Jenner."
Oh, because I had a blue wig on. Yes. Yeah, I was like, "Oh my God, it's me." And you're like, "Who the F?" Ariel's the type where he has such a prestige about him, and I feel like it took me so long to even like get him to warm up to me, because he is just very, he's very like a lady, she's a professional. She's the #1 makeup artist of the world. She's the Ariel 3 hours for the brow.
No, ma'am. And now I get to do Nikita's makeup, and honestly, you guys, I'm so honored because she's such a muse for me, because she's such a transformation. And you get to take her from this thing to like being...
See, it was going to a compliment and then it just turned.
You gotta humble her.
Okay, come on, get back to the brow.
This cocoon to being a beautiful butterfly.
Get back to the brow. No, but for real, Ariel and I have had such a wild journey together, and it's been so interesting to see like your artistry grow, and like obviously our body shapes to grow.
Yes,
so it's
we've
like
evolved in so many different ways.
Very much lots of Pokemon stages. How did you like first get into makeup?
I think that my love for makeup really grew like my junior year of high school, when my vocal teacher, because remember I thought I always wanted to be like a singer.
And you are a singer. You're literally such a songbird.
When my vocal teacher got fired from high school, I lost interest in music a lot, because he was like a huge reason for like why I wanted to pursue music. I like applied to Juilliard and the whole nine, and like I just picked up a brush and I started doing my cousin's makeup, and it felt so good to see how good she felt when I was done, that I wanted to continue to do it. Like it just made me feel good to know that I could like give a woman that much confidence. I'm sure you've had your fair share of like bullying in school and stuff.
Yes.
Being able to feel that empowerment, being able to give it to others when you weren't given it when you were younger, like it feels so good.
Why are you so infamous for taking forever on brows?
Yeah, I know. People talk about it all the time. I think it's because brows really do frame and shape the face. And I get scared of not having that symmetry, because I feel like that's what my glam is known for. So I take my time on this part.
3 hours later.
I like to carve the brow a little bit. So I'm using my A19 brush. This is my dual-ended brush in the collection. I'm not reshaping it. I'm using the same exact line that I drew. I'm just kind of highlighting underneath the brow and perfecting any I can't talk. And perfecting any lines that are not as straight.
How do you like decide what kind of brow looks best on someone?
I don't like to go far off of your natural brow shape, but I definitely like to extend the brow a little bit. I think that everyone's brow is assigned to you for a reason. So I don't think there's a need to like go out of your way to like reshape it and give you a completely different brow.
Yes. I feel like we play a little bit. Like
we do.
Sometimes we go a little bit more straight. Sometimes we do a little bit straight with a curve.
So then I guess my answer is it depends on the kind of glam we're going for. I named the brush A19 because I felt like at the age of 19, I was freshly moved out to LA and I felt like I was living a double life. Like I would go back home and I was like wearing like baggy sweatpants and like a big shirt to cover up like just my identity because I felt like, you know, growing up in a religious household, like I couldn't really be myself. And I felt like I was gonna offend my family. Or like they wouldn't accept me for myself. And I was kind of like coming to LA and living like the way I wanted to live out here, but then going back home and fully living a completely different life. And so I was concealing like a true part of myself, and that's why my concealer brush is named.
Ew! That's sickening. Not with the double meaning. Not only is it a dual brush, she's a concealer brush to conceal her true identity. And she's also straight as fuck.
When you're shaping the brow, it's really important to take into consideration because sometimes I'll pull on the bone and that makes it look perfected, but then I'll drop it and the actual structure of her skull is maybe lifted a little bit more on one side, so you kind of have to manipulate it so that both brows seem more symmetrical. And I will have to like carve this one a little higher here versus like the other one I wouldn't have to do that. But that's okay because most people's faces are not fully symmetrical.
Am I not symmetrical? Ariel, how dare you? Who would you say like has like maybe like some of the best brows or is like easiest to do for yourself?
The easiest brows to do are Kim's. They almost have like a map out of what you need to do.
Oh, so you can just easily.
You could just go.
I like to make it hard for him. I'm the hardest. Period.
Snatched.
The abuse. Ow. This hurts so bad.
When you carve out the brow, the top part of the brow, I never take a concealer that's lighter. I always want it to like blend in with the foundation. That way the brows don't look very like sculpted and highlighted like that. They look more like she just freshly got them done or something. I don't like when they look super edged out and highlighted at the top. And usually I'll do that with the other end of the brush and just kind of like melt the product into the rest of the forehead. And that way you don't have to get close to the brow when you're doing your foundation because you've already applied product there. Now I'm using my A25 brush and a primer for the eyes. I started doing this recently on Nikita because I'm usually really old school when it comes to this part. Like I just use foundation or concealer, but I really feel like using an eye primer has helped with how the eyeshadow wears and also just like how it slips onto the eyes and the vibrancy of the colors of the shadows.
And if anyone's wondering, I'm actually the test dummy to Ariel's other client.
Yeah.
Because we will do the craziest
We
things.
will.
That's the one thing I love about our relationship. And even too, at the top of the year, we started glamming more consistently. And at the time, I was just like really nervous to have Ariel glam me just because I was like, you know, my face is so hard to do in terms of makeup. And I think the one thing I've loved about our relationship in terms of like glamming is that we have like every single time tried to like push ourselves to do something different, to try to do something unique. And it's so cool to see like the different techniques we kind of like come up with.
Totally. This is something that not a lot of people do, but I definitely do. This is my A14 brush. It is my lucky brush. I use it to set the brows. I use it to do any precise setting on the face. I think this is like a really unique brush. The way it's shaped and everything, it can really get into like the tear duct of the eye, like little areas like that that are hard to get to where you want to do like some precise setting without it getting everywhere.
And we like to set the brows because I tend to get like oily or shiny through the brow, and I also feel like it keeps the brow locked in for so
Totally.
much longer. But
Also, like if you, for whatever reason, get a little bit of your foundation on the brow, it won't actually stick onto it because there's powder there, so it blocks it from getting like messed up.
I think it's so cool though that you've like talked about your lucky brush because I don't think people really realize how much goes into a makeup collab. So you creating these like brushes, I'm like, wait, what? Because I mean, I feel like so many other artists or brands like want to just like slap, you know, Makeup by Ariel on something.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you like went in and created your own brushes.
I was approached with so many brands brands hitting me about this collab or that collab, or like, let's do an eyeshadow palette. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to start with eyeshadows. I don't want to do skin. Like, I feel like brushes are the foundation of makeup.
Yes.
Without good tools, you can't have like a good base. I made sure that I really dedicated so much time and energy in perfecting these so that you guys can get the easiest application and the most flawless application.
He
I really do.
literally
I only
uses
use
them
it.
every glam. Could not stress that enough. I'm like, what? Like, this is crazy.
Brand new palette. I just took the little plastic
Ay,
off.
mira.
This is Nikita Dragun's collab with Morphe.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys have seen this and used this because it's such a fire palette. Me and Nikita actually play with a lot of these colors as well. Like in Miami, we were using like these warm tones. It was really, really fun to play with this, and I'm excited to use it today. So,
Yes. Ariel, #1 celebrity makeup artist of the world. What are your top 3 makeup looks that we've done together?
for your mascara campaign.
Yes.
In person, she actually looked photoshopped.
Yeah.
Nikita came to me with this Sophia Loren inspiration. And I was just like, are you sure? Like, this is like such a different eye shape for you. And she's like, no, let's try it. I feel like it's gonna be so fire. We do it, and it literally changed the whole game for us.
And everyone was like tripping out.
Like, what did you do?
Yeah, my friends who are also, beauty gurus or in makeup, they were like texting Ariel or DMing me, being like, wait, is this a filter? Or like, what?
Yeah.
What did you do to your eyes?
It almost looked like her eyes were actually that big and that almondy. It was really cool. So that was definitely like one of my top favorites. We did a really cool look. I was scared to do this. I've never done rose petals on a lash.
Yes. Oh my god.
And I was like, Nikita, I don't know how to do this. And she's like, no, you got this. And next day I walked in and started chopping rose petals and putting them on the lash. We popped those things on and the look just came to life.
It was so sickening. And I think, because also too, that was the first episode of the Netflix show that I just shot with Hype House. It was a wedding. I think you guys will see that very soon, but it was so insane because my friends had asked me to be the flower girl. And in my mind, I was just so dead set on like really taking it there, because even to my friends were like, okay, if you're gonna do this for our wedding, like you really need to like give us the full fantasy. And I was like, okay, say less.
I feel like that's the beautiful thing about working with you, and honestly it makes me feel so special every time we glam, because you really do give so much life to the glam, and you know how to wear it and make every artist feel so special when you're done. That look in particular was so crazy. I remember how she was feeling herself so hard, and I'm like, with rose petals on your eyes? I'm using my A18 flat smudger brush to actually carve out the crease of this eyeshadow. I created it really flat because I wanted to make sure that I could really get into areas like this if I needed to with the brush, and I could also have really precise smudging. So all my brushes have that duality of being able to be used for different things, which is exciting because no one wants 50 brushes. Like, you have a set of 14 brushes that you can do everything with.
When's like the last time you've had like a uh-oh moment?
I was doing Kim's makeup.
Okay.
She didn't know until recently when I told her, but I was doing her makeup for like a interview or something. I thought I had grabbed the right brush, and it had black from like the liner that I was blending out.
Oh,
and I went to dust off her under eye, and I made it completely black. In that moment specifically, like that was such a big thing for me. Like, wait, I can't freak her out. She's about to go on set. We literally have like 30 minutes before going out, and I have to fix this. So you just kind of have to compose yourself and hold in your feelings and know that this is not about you, it's about them. And so I can't really freak out about it. I have to internalize it and freak out about it later. Well, that's that. I'm gonna apply a little bit of the shade Shapeshifter and Augmented onto her brow bone, which is the same color that I was using on her lid. Just re-emphasize the brow bone. I don't like to go crazy light under here. It's just to clean up any shadow that has gone higher.
What would you say like your technique is to like blending shadows?
So that's actually a really good question, because when you're holding a brush, depending on where you hold the brush, you're putting so much more pressure. So right here, there's so much tensity or tenseness, whatever, that it's creating so much harsher of an application versus you'll feel the difference if I hold it here. It's like very feather-like.
That's what I think I learned from you, because I used to hold my brushes so like
Aggressively,
and even when I would do my shadow, I would do it so aggressively just because I was like, oh, I want the biggest impact, I want like the most shadow, I want, or even in my mind I'm like thinking I'm gonna buff it out like harder. Like,
Right.
I'm thinking like, oh, it's gonna blend more if I'm like stiffer with it.
I think you want to let the brush and the product do the work, and then you can always build it. Like if you put too much up at once, you can't really take it away, but you can always add more if you do less, you know?
Yes.
Okay, so that's it for the eyes, and we're gonna move on to skin, which is the most exciting part for me. I love this. This is really creative. It's super fun. But skin is like my everything.
Yeah.
I really get in there.
You really
literally.
do.
I'm now gonna use my favorite foundation brush.
Is this the one I stole?
This is the one you stole.
Yes.
This is my A24 brush. It's numbered after my mom's birthday.
Oh.
Because my mom is like the foundation of my life, and without her I wouldn't be here, so.
Oh, that's so cheesy.
Anything and everything that I wanted, my mom wanted to make sure that I had the best of the best when doing it because she didn't want me to be mediocre at anything. And so I think that was really important for me to include her in this collection.
That's amazing.
Hold on, you have some flaky skin on your ear.
Ew. Rude. Oh, look how hydrated.
Just really gotta get it in there.
Such a delicate touch you have. Ariel likes to forget my color correctization nation. For me personally, as a trans woman, I suffer from like just like darkness and hyperpigmentation, also being ethnic, and anytime I don't color correct and address the actual pigmentation to the skin prior to putting on foundation, it just turns and shifts the foundation to a different color throughout the day. So I invented this kind of like system for myself that I've learned with Dragun Beauty. Yay! Me and my orange color corrector have come such a long way. So if you suffer from any kind of purpley blue undertones, such as like under eye bags or dark circles, even acne scars, hickeys, bruises, if you just put a little bit of this on that area and then apply your foundation or concealer, you'll notice the biggest difference in your base. And it's like simple color theory in order to create a flawless canvas.
Yes, ma'am. Glowy and hoey. Hey guys, it's Nikita Dragun, and today I'm using my color corrector in Dragon Poop.
It's Dragon Gaga.
We usually use this purple corrector to neutralize the orange so that when you go ahead with your foundation, this is not so intense underneath and it just balances everything out. It creates like a really blank canvas. Nikita actually taught me that.
I taught him the power of purple color corrector and a good douche.
Very true. A lot of the brushes in the collection are made with natural bristles. I know a lot of people are against natural bristles, but for me, it was really important to give you guys the exact technique that the Makeup by Ariel experience entails. And I feel that this is a huge part of why my makeup is so well blended and why it looks so soft focused, is because these bristles really allow to push the product around and really blend things. I made sure that no fallouts or bristles were hanging loose onto the skin. We tested many rounds of these brushes, and even using these creams and liquids, there hasn't been one brush hair on her face, and that to me is really important because when using natural bristles, that's a huge chance that you have of like having hairs on the face because they kind of like slip out the brush. But this is like little to none.
That's the thing. Ariel has been doing my glam for the past like 3 months, and we've done so many looks and everything, and I'm just like, what is this brush? Like, he would not tell me for the first month solid. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, you know, just working on something, you know, in his little voice. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, it's for Morphe. I'm like, excuse me?
You're able to get that luxury feeling without breaking your bank.
So you can save on the brushes and then splurge on Ariel's glam fee.
Yeah, it's just...
Okay.
So I'm now using my A24 foundation brush to apply foundation. Before we were using it for moisturizer, but now we're really getting in there and applying the foundation with it. Nikita's obsessed with this brush. I'm obsessed with this brush. It really doesn't leave my kit. And what I like about it is that I built it with the right amount of density in it. I was very specific about how dense the brush was so that it gave that really beauty sponge kind of look. Instead of using a beauty sponge, if you don't have one, you can definitely get away with just using the brush. But luckily, I have a beauty sponge in my collection. So she's right
So
here.
pretty.
I
She's
did
so
a
fluffy.
double-ended beauty sponge where both sides have a pointed end. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap all of that foundation into her skin.
Oh, this feels good. It feels like it's not like picking up any of the foundation.
Exactly. Some sponges are a little too hard, so when they hit the skin, it like picks up all the product.
Okay, Miss Ariel, celebrity makeup artist to the stars, including Nikita Dragun. I'm gonna ask you some speed round questions. And if you mess up, I will take a makeup wipe to my face. What's your favorite moment with each other?
I know what mine is, but I can't talk about it.
I don't know if I can talk about mine either. What's the weirdest question you've ever been asked?
A very obvious answer to this question is, are you a boy or a girl?
People get so funny with like the in-betweens.
Like, it's cool if you're like inquisitive and you're trying to learn, but when it gets like that, most of these questions are just so funny to me. Like, okay, like I know you're trying to like clown me right now. You know?
What's your favorite product from Dragun Beauty?
As of recently, I don't do any glam without the Dragun Beauty setting powders. I really like them. But I think her staple product in my collection is the brightening powder. Like, that does not leave. It's always like, I know it's gonna do its thing.
You call it the Nikita.
Yeah, I call it the Nikita. I'm always like telling my assistant, Artie, like, Artie, where's the Nikita? If you see me holding her head, it's because Nikita likes to
Do I? Huh. When was the last time you were nervous glamming?
I get nervous every Met Gala. There's not one Met Gala that I'm not stressed about and nervous. I feel like there's so many cameras from different angles photographing your glam, and I think that's so much pressure because your client's relying on you to make them the most perfect version of themselves they've been. So I think that's like really, really scary.
That must just be so intense. I can only imagine. Like even more scary than like a wedding day.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of like some of your most iconic moments that are my favorite. Obviously, I think Kai's like first Met Ball. Was that with the short black?
That was when we like solidified the Makeup by Ariel.
She looked sickening, and that short hair moment was everything. I mean, every look I feel like you've done with her or obviously like Kim and stuff like has been insane.
Thank you.
I feel like it's just so fun when you can tell that an artist and a client are like having fun doing the glam.
Totally. And I feel like that is something that I carry with myself everywhere as well, because I've always told myself the moment this is feeling like work, I no longer want to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my contour brush. It's also a natural bristle brush, but what I like about it is the shape that I created. So as the brush comes to the front, like the bristles get smaller and thinner so that you're able to get a more precise application, and then the outside hairs open up so that if you were to push the brush opens up and gives you that more diffused moment. And I named this brush A58 because it's my dad's year of birth, and I feel like my dad contoured and shaped me into who I am today. If you were to ask anyone in my family, like, why are Ariel's hands so pretty? It's because my dad didn't let me touch anything. Like, he knew.
Gosh.
He's like, those hands are blessed, and he's gonna do something major with them. And he would never let me lift a box. Like, and I was always like the golden child. My brother hated it, but not the caca stain, man. Just like you want to give your client a good beating. That's why it's called a beat, you know, like.
Are you serious?
And because I applied so much like creamy stuff underneath the skin, like that La Mer moisturizer and our cream foundation, like all this powder in the next hour will be so absorbed and her skin will just look really, really flawless. Nikita.
What?
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Stop.
I'm looking at myself.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Nikita. I'm gonna make your nose crooked on purpose.
No. Okay, how do you feel like you got like a style of makeup? Because I feel like every time you do my glam, everyone's like, oh, Ariel glammed you. I can tell. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Definitely like the brow is a thing, like how close I bring them in. I feel like a lot of people notice that.
It's like borderline unibrow, but like also not.
Yeah, it's enough to pinch the nose so small from the very top that it starts to create that illusion of a smaller bridge. But also, I just feel like in general, like I shape the face a little more different. Like I bring it up and make it more like baby dolly. But I feel like also that's something that you establish over time, like kind of getting bits and pieces where you get inspired from, like from other artists or...
So that's why you be FaceTiming when I
I'm using the pink translucent powder under the eyes. I feel like this gives like a nice brightening effect. to keep the under eye like a little bit more pink. I didn't go with this powder initially because I wanted to make sure that the under eyes didn't get too pink, so I set it with a color that's closer to the concealer color, which is a little more on the neutral, like yellowy side. I'm gonna mix the yellow translucent powder and the invisible translucent powder, and I'm gonna bake right at the T-zone. So chin area, center of the forehead, we already baked down the bridge of the nose. This part is really crucial in making sure that no oils bleed. Nikita's not really oily these days.
I got that part removed.
So this is the part where I go in and add like color back into the skin. So first, I start off with something that's her actual skin tone. Even if we go over the contoured areas, those like cream contours will pop back through. And then I'll go in with like a bronzer to like reinforce the contours. I don't think Nikita was used to necessarily before is that I bring a lot of warmth to the skin. Like I think that to me brings the makeup to life. Like it adds like so much like color and life to the makeup.
I feel like the best way to describe it is it always looks like I'm being like hit by like a spotlight or
like sunlight.
Golden hour, always. I love just being orange.
I'm using my setting and bronzing brush. This is my A21 brush. I named it 21 because I remember...
After me?
No, silly.
After me?
Because I just remember when I turned 21, it was so solidifying of who I am. And I was wearing my crop tops and my thongs and and I was just being me.
That's so sickening. I'm glad you have a memory of 9 years ago.
I've used up all of my powder on Nikita just now. It used to be it used to be full when we started this tutorial.
No.
But there's so much real estate on this face.
Real estate?
So I'm using two bronzers. One is a little bit more cool toned and the other one is a little bit more on the red side. I like to mix them so that I get a little bit of the warmth but also a little bit of that gray undertone that a contour would have. And I lightly do her forehead in comparison to like her cheekbone because the wig will be applied there and sometimes the transition can be a little too harsh.
Who's your celebrity crush when you were little? Was it from like a telenovela?
I don't think I was thinking about that when I was a kid. Smile. But like I guess as a teenager, like I definitely had like Bieber fever.
Oh.
But I feel like who didn't?
Don't get me started. Bieber, when he got arrested in Miami, will always be my type. Would you ever quit doing makeup?
You know, I've thought about this because I feel like, you know, I don't think I'll be doing this for the rest of my life. I don't want to be like 50 years old and like
lugging around your 100-pound suitcase of makeup.
But I do think that like this is something that I will forever love. And this will forever be something that's like special to me. And it'll never leave me. So I think if anything, I'll stop doing the day-to-day stuff and I'll just focus on like big ad campaigns or big red carpets and stuff like that. Hold, please. So I am always asked, what blush do you use? Well, it's nearly impossible to tell because I'm mixing like 10 of them. So this is the first layer, which is a lot lighter, and this one blends into the under eye. Everyone's always asking me, what's the secret to your blush application? A huge part of it is my brush. I specifically designed this brush to give that really diffused look that you guys love to see. It fans out. As soon as it hits the face, the brush like opens up into like a circle and it allows you to like really get in there. And if you wanted really precise application, you can go ahead and just use the very edge of the brush and hit it wherever it is that you want that focal point to be. But the goal here is just to keep the majority of the color concentrated on the apple of the cheek and then use the brush to diffuse it everywhere else. My blush application is on the under eye, up the cheekbone. Like,
I love it.
It's so good though. It adds so much color and life to the face. A lot of people are scared of it, but it's also the thing that brings life to the makeup because the skin can look a little lackluster if there's no color there, especially because this is dead center in the face. And before we did this, we applied a cream blush underneath to sustain the blush that we're putting on now. So I'm gonna dip into a little bit of this color called Nikita, and I like to just get a very small amount of like a very hot pink and just hit the tops of the cheekbone for a little bit of saturation. That just like brings it to life. Don't be afraid to use shadows as blushes as long as you're really light-handed with it. it just gives like the nicest amount of flush and color to the skin.
It's actually hilarious because I feel like a normal, everyday kind of maybe gal would stop at this, but this is just our first layer.
Yeah, this is like the base of what
This
we're
is
gonna
like the
do later.
most like this is basically setting powder for us.
So using a nude pencil, I kind of run it through and extend it out to the very edge of the eye and create like a little mini triangle out here that we're gonna close it up and like perfect it in a second, but I only do this halfway through her eye.
We actually had to play with like different shapes and use the nude liner in so many different ways, like at first,
Yeah.
to like lock down what looked good on my personal eye shape. Like some people can look really bomb with a nude liner completely all over their waterline.
True.
But for me, like the angle that we like to go at, it doesn't look good. So you kind of have to like play in terms of like where to open up your eye and kind of how to shape it. Even when we do brown, I'll only do brown on the outside.
Yeah.
Half, like I won't take it all the way in.
So I tend to like drag it down a little bit outside of the lash line and then I'll shape it with some eyeshadow. And it just like opens up the eyes so much. She looks like a doll after.
Literally. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go in with these 3 brown shades. This is Prima Donna, Seduction, and Temptation. And I'm gonna start lining that bottom portion of the eye and connecting it to the very edge of her eyeshadow. But this will be my transition shade because we will apply a little bit of black to the lash line.
And what brush is this one?
This is my A22 smudging brush. It's really hard to work with divas like Nikita because yeah, you have to deal with all their shenanigans.
You are
and-
such a truth teller, you know? Yeah, let them know I'm not gonna not fly first class.
So whatever's left over in the brush, you can go ahead and like start smudging it out into the center of the eye. I'm gonna go ahead and tight line that new line that we created, and this creates like the illusion of that new eye shape
So you opened up the eye,
from the outer edge.
and instead of closing it to my normal lash line, you dropped it in order
Right.
to kind of like
Exactly.
create that more open space.
Because once that lash goes on, all of that part of her eye is gonna lift so much. It's just gonna make sense. Like it's gonna balance out the eye. I'm gonna go back in with my A14 brush and I'm gonna dust off Nikita's under eye because we're done doing shadow. That was there to catch any fallout and also to reinforce that highlight that we applied.
The way Ariel makes my skin look is insane. I've had people like look at me and just like stare.
Analyze.
Like just stare.
Put a light up to the face.
Yeah, like fully just like stare when Ariel does my makeup, and I have to like even get into it too sometimes because I'm just like, this is crazy. Like most like broy bros that would just be like, wow. They're like, you look really good. Like your makeup just looks like really good. Speaking of, maybe I should start.
Let them know the dragon's coming out
Whatever.
tonight.
What y'all doing?
So once I'm done dusting off the setting powder, this is my last layer of pressed powder underneath the eyes. And this kind of reinforces the highlight and makes sure that when I was dusting off the setting powder, I didn't knock off any of that powder. This one's like slightly lighter and just brings out the under eye. Sometimes if I want to be really, really hateful, I'll take the same number 2 powder. I go in right underneath the cheekbone.
What?
And this just like reinforces that under highlight so that the cheekbones look like extra snatched.
The shit you do, I swear. Where do you learn this stuff? You just like do it?
One day I do it by mistake and then it works.
So-
Oh shit, that's what I'm looking like. I've been working, so yeah, I'm gonna have to. All right, so this is a point in glam where we take a little break. Me and Nikita separate for a second. She goes to Ricky, and Ricky's gonna put her wig on. I'm gonna put some lashes on, and we'll be right back.
And we're back. If you want to watch the full unscripted tutorial, that's on onlyfans.com/Ariel's ass. I also look naked right now.
You do, but you're not.
No, zoom back in, sir.
I'm gonna start off at the very outer edge of the lip. I like to start here because this is the part that I keep closest to like the lip line. And I really darken the outer edge the most to create that really like pouty lip. So as I come closer to the Cupid's bow, I try to cancel out the Cupid's bow. So we'll draw a line out when she smiles. And then I'll connect that line down to that other line that I drew. I like to line her lips when she's like smiling so that I make sure that both sides are like even. So Nikita actually taught me this. When did you learn that?
When I saw some of your other clients lobster lips.
I'm gonna take this lash off, bitch. Definitely you want to keep most of the overlining just at the center of the top lip. Also, I really like the lip liners that Nikita created just because they're a little bit more on the, I would say like drier side. Like a lot of like lip liners are too slippery and like this one just kind of stays in place. And then here at the outer corners, I just go in and I fill in those outer corners.
I think what really like takes it there is like we like make this area so short.
Agreed.
Like the more you pull your top lip up to your nose, I feel like the more feminine, at least for
Agreed.
me.
And also like the face just looks a little more symmetrical because you balance the distance between the upper lip and the eyes. The shorter your distance is from your nose to your lip, the face tends to look a lot more feminine. I'm taking my A19 brush and I'm using a little bit of concealer that is like slightly lighter and more of like a highlight. This is gonna bring attention to the lips and it's also gonna define the outer edge of the lip line. I feel like it's little details like this that really take the glam there because it really like makes everything pop. Like look at one side versus the other. Wow, who is she?
That bitch.
I feel bad for the boys that are seeing you tonight. I'm gonna be using Nikita in the center of the lip. She's a really cute pinky Nikita vibe. This is my A25 brush. It's very multi-purpose. Like I like to use it as concealer. I like to use it to contour the nose, shade the lips in. All these brushes are like so like multitasking. Wow, I'm so talented. This is disgusting.
I mean, the canvas is pretty good too, though.
Wow, you literally look like the most perfect Barbie doll ever.
Do you mean it?
Thank you for being my model today. Thank you for having me on your channel.
Bitch, we're not done. Let me put my
I
dress
know,
on. Why
I
are you gonna leave me
know.
in my fucking
But
bathrobe?
hold on, I'm just like feeling like so grateful because like look at you.
Wait, this is insanity.
You're not normal.
What? Oh, don't let me put my hand up to my face.
All right, let's change. Let's get you in your fit and let's give them the final look.
Guys, we are officially done with this transformation by none other than the #1 celebrity makeup artist that could not attend today. So instead we have Ariel. And not Ariel. It's not Ariella. It's Ariel.
I love that you know that.
Very much so. I honestly feel so beautiful. This may be one of my favorite looks we've ever done.
This is definitely my favorite look we've ever
I
done.
think like I'm like just getting into it right now and I'm gonna have to rewatch this video back a million times to figure out what the fuck you did.
I'm just gonna say something before you start dissing me or whatever the fuck you were gonna do. I love you so much. I am so grateful, like I could literally cry. Not only are you such a good friend of mine and like how comfortable you make me feel, but you made this process so easy for me and so enjoyable, and you're so beautiful and I love you. And thank you for always being like my cheerleader and being by my side.
Yes.
Like this is such a big project for me, and like having you be my model for this and having it turn out the way it turned out. I just love you.
I would literally cry right now.
Okay, but
If I
let's
wasn't
not.
so glam. Ew. I
We're
just said I'm so proud of you. Ew.
We're being so mushy. Okay,
We
back
are.
to bitch mode. So this is the full face. Try to
What?
tilt it. There's my signature. And then when you open it, there is my brush collection.
Wow.
My sponge and a love note that I hand wrote. I've been using this religiously during my glams. Nikita can attest to that.
I can.
And I'm just so excited for you guys to try them.
Congratulations on your baby and thank you for
Use
sharing.
code Ariel at checkout.
Use code DRAGON at checkout with a U. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and don't forget, breathe fire, my dragons.